Hello viewers, wherever you're watching us from, welcome to another edition of your weekly State of Affairs, which comes your way every Friday at this time here on QTV. I am your host, Aliou Cisse, together with my co-host, Sidi Cisse. Sidi, welcome to the program once again.
Welcome. Thank you very much, Aliou.
Well, like we do it every week, today we are focusing on the issue of youth unemployment and crimes in the Gambia. We have seen recently the issue of youth unemployment has been a great concern for all Gambians. Of course, this, many will argue, has actually played a key role in terms of the increase in crimes in the country. Well, I'm glad to say today we are joined in the studio by Mary K. Baji from the Gambia Democratic Congress. Mary, welcome to the State of Affairs.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. And also joining us is Eddie Jallo, who is the Administrative Secretary of the PDOIS. Eddie, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, we'll just start, both Mary and Eddie. We know the issue of, like I said, youth unemployment is a concern. And then in 2017, a government was elected, which replaces the former government. And among the top agenda of this government was the issue of trying to see how best they can address the issue of youth unemployment. But then it appears not much has changed since 2017. The issue of youth unemployment still remain on the high side. And of course, crimes are increasing daily. We have seen so many armed robbery and all sort of that. But then we're here to discuss in detail as to what are the opportunities. Are there any job opportunities for young people? What has gone wrong? What is not done right? What should have been done and not done? And why are young people so much into the issue of crimes? Well, see, Eddie and Mary, what's your take on the current state of the country, looking at the issue of youth unemployment and crimes in the country? Eddie, I will start with you.
Well, as you have rightly stated, there is both youth unemployment and youth underemployment. It seems as if we have not drawn the right lessons yet and take the right approach to tackle this challenge. Because this challenge is not a new one. It has been in this country from independence, from inception. Each time, every generation of youth are blamed for being lazy. And successive generations are blamed for the same thing. Is it true that the youth are lazy? Or is it that we have not taken the right approach to integrate the youth? And when I talk about the youth here, I'm not referring strictly to the age bracket 15-35. I will go beyond 35. Why? Because of the lack of proper planning, a lot of people who have followed out of the age bracket 35 and are around 45 now.
Yes, we will come back to that, whether they are lazy or there is no proper planning. Mary, let me just engage you. What's your take?
Okay, my perception concerning the youth unemployment is that the youths have not been given the opportunity that is supposed to be given to them. Because according to what you said, like there was a new government that was set in 2017 to bring us the changes that we were looking for, but those changes did not come the way we were expected. I could remember when Barrow was asked, like, what do you have for the Gambian youths? He said he has the river for them. And now that river is being given to the Chinese. So I wonder what is left for the youths now. And the land is being given to other foreigners. So I really don't know what is there for the youths. Because most of the youths are out there, they don't even know what is the percentage of their budget when it comes to the national budget. They don't know. And they don't even know if there are opportunities that are being slated for youths or not. So it's very critical and very confusing when you say the youths are lazy and you've not given them anything to do. How can you call them lazy when there is nothing on the table for them? How many youths have graduated from school and still struggling to earn a living? Like from the age of, let's say, 15 to 35, you're still under your parents. There is nothing to do. Like maybe let's say we can venture into business, but we all know that the entire market is filled up. Everyone is into businesses. We cannot go into businesses. We cannot all go into offices. So what is there for us? What opportunities or what plans can the government strategize to help us do something if we are lazy? How can they come into our aid?
Okay, now you have mentioned about the issue of Barrow coming in with so many promises for young people, and like you said, according to you, most of these promises are not met. What plan does your party has as far as this youth unemployment is concerned?
Okay, when it comes to my plan, the GDC, like we have not even like set plans and still waiting to become the government to carry them out. We have started implementing our plans even before becoming the government, because His Excellency Mama Kande have been given scholarship. He have been digging, but he's not only interested in only youth. He's interested in the entire Gambia.
But he's not the president yet. You are saying His Excellency.
Well, he is my president. He is my president, so I have the right to call him the president.
I'll come in here.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Eddie. Yes, Eddie, I'll just come to you. You said young people are lazy. At some point, you said there's...
I said
okay,
they are accused.
They are accused of being lazy.
Please,
yes, allow me to come in. Allow me to come in. Yes.
Don't quote me right.
Okay, no problem. You said they are accused. Okay, wonderful. You said they are accused of being lazy. You also talk about perhaps there's another option that could be lack of proper planning. What do you mean by that? Can you elaborate more?
What I mean by lack of proper planning is at the time you were...
Let's talk about the issue of laziness first, then we come to the issue of the lack of proper planning.
It is all compounded together.
All right.
At the time you were looking for a job, you went around all the corners of the country and drummed in the ears of the people that you are seeking for a job in order to serve them. What's stopping you after being given and trusted with that responsibility? What is stopping you from creating an environment where you will consult each and everyone from every nook and cranny of the country and know what is actually required to better the lives of the people? I think once such a thing is done, it will be the beginning of a new era of energizing the Gambian people to work towards our socio-economic development. That is why in the Coalition 2016 program, it was envisaged that a document will be written called ASSET, Agency for Sustainable Socio-Economic Development, where we will consult with Gambians inside and outside, people at the community level, in order to map out what our strategic objectives would be and what tactics we are to employ in order to achieve that and ensure that we are not only implementing something to abandon later, but implementing something that will be followed up, that will have no chance of failing. It will be a success story. Gambia should have been a success story.
See, do you want to comment?
Yeah, I want to comment here. I'll put one question out for both of them. The issue of unemployment, we all agree, is high, mainly high in the youths. But jobs do exist. But we have also seen deficit in terms of skills. You know, most of these skilled jobs, Gambian youths can step in, but unfortunately they are not skilled. What would a GDC government do? What would a PDOI's government do in terms of bringing that skill gap, that deficit in terms of skills?
Okay, at my government level, I call us government because that's what we are aspiring for. So at our level, we have strategic plans slate for youths in every aspect, whether you've gone through an educational that has to do with techniques or business or anything that you have studied. We have a slated plan for every set of youth. Those who are ventured into business, we have a business plan
we want
for them.
Specific plans.
Okay.
What my
like
question,
for example,
yes.
okay, like for example, those who are into how to call it mechanic jobs and those who are into petty trading, we have a project slated for them. Like for example, when you look at the waste management in the Gambia, it's very low. So we have a project planned to employ youths to work on that, wherein they will be employed.
With everything that is happening now, we are saying, you know, jobs do exist. But when you look at the skill jobs, there is deficit in terms of getting our youths into tertiary institutions, training, vocational trainings and stuff. What would a GDC government do, specific, in terms of bringing that deficit down making so that when I take my car, I'm not going to look around for a garage that is not owned by, a Gambian youth. When I want to have a well-designed dress, I don't have to go and look for somebody in a tailoring shop that is not a Gambian. What would a GDC government do in setting up these structures?
Okay, I think that brings us back to our projects. This is what I'm trying to explain. We have projects for youths like that. When you graduate from the GTTI and you are technically inclined, we have a project for you to come and show us what you can do if you have a particular place set up and you need this and that and that and that to purchase all that to start your own mechanical garage. We have a project for you to do that.
We go back into this. We only got GTTI right now.
Okay, we only have GTTI.
So we are saying,
but how many students are graduating from GTTI and are sitting at home?
I ask you, do you have the percentage?
Okay, I don't have the exact percentage, but we all know that not every student graduated from GTTI is working currently.
But how many people want to go into GTTI and they don't have the opportunity to get there?
Okay, those people are given scholarship. Okay. If you are not aware, my president is giving scholarship to students.
I mean, Mary,
all sectors.
Mary, allow me to comment.
So if he gives you,
you're making very important points about the plans that your party has as far as youth unemployment is concerned. But in the issue of funding, could you just share with us how do you intend to raise these funds? From where?
Well, we are all Gambians, and the party members are also Gambians. We all have our jobs and our work, and we do contribute. Even our women's at home, they have their kafos, and every month they do contribute. So likewise, and our reports and our statistics are with the the Electoral Commission. So they have all our reports and feedbacks of how we get our fund and how it's spent. So majority of our members do contribute every month. Most of the time when we have our monthly meetings, we contribute
a charitable sort of thing, like people can contribute. We are talking about when GDC is in government. How do you envisage bringing up a government policy that would create skill centers, vocational training institutions for Gambian youth? We've seen the GTTI, for example. There are tons of youths who would love to go and learn skills. But what would you put out there for example, a young youth sitting in Brufut say, okay, there's something out there for me that I can go and train, and then I can set something up for myself.
Exactly. I think that will have to wait until we become a government, and the governments will decide.
So I move to.
Wait, let me go. When we decide, allow me to land. Yeah. When we become the government of the Gambia, we will not only depend on GTTI, because we have so many GTTIs around the Gambia. So we will not only have one GTTI for all the youths to depend on. We will have GTTI in Brufut, like you said, and in many other places around the country, and even in the provinces.
Yes,
it's something that my president is very interested about when it comes to youth.
Thank you so much, Mary.
Yeah.
Edie, I'll come back to you.
I just want Edie to answer the question that I asked. I did ask a question.
What is the question again?
the deficit when it comes to skills and vocational training in the country. Jobs do exist, but we know because many jobs are skill jobs. You take an example of the Lamenkoto Pasamas Road. You take an example of the recent road that they've just started. I went there. I saw a lot of youths, who were there, but they're in Gambians, and they're very skilled in what they're doing. We're saying what is actually happening with our youth because they don't have those skills. So how do we give our youth those skills? What would a Doi government do to enrich the knowledge of our youth with skills that they will go out there and get a job?
Well, before you just answer, I just want to bring in another question here. The issue of youth unemployment rate. What do you know about the current rate of youth unemployment in the country? Then you can help us answer the follow-up question by Sidi.
Youth unemployment rate is very high. To give you a percentage figure will be speculative on my side, and I don't want to risk being speculative. But what I know is...
But as we speak, it's around 12 point something percent according to the UN.
It's
12.5, and this from 2015 to 2018.
That depends on the way they collected their data. Because they look at underemployment. Did they look at those who are forced to take the back way? Did they look at those who sit around street corners? Did they go home to really talk to people and know their status? I have not witnessed any of such. So this is why...
do you have doubt in the reputation of the UN?
Well, I'm not saying I have doubts. Yes. I said this is why I am not sure I should speak on percentages here. What I am sure of is there is a high number of Gambian youth who are out there unemployed. And some of those who are working are underemployed because they are receiving pittance.
We are talking about unemployment here. When the UN is at 12.59, and I'm sure they don't just go around and pick these numbers. These numbers must have been generated through a proper mechanism.
See the listing. What I have said, I can say anywhere. I said I have never come across any team of researchers or data collectors.
That's understood. So let's move to the issue of
did this, and I am out and about every day.
Okay, let's move to the skill gap. Yes.
Now what will a DOI party do?
Now the skill gap, you will take 3 approaches.
Okay.
Formal, non-formal, and informal. These are the 3 approaches because there is a huge deficit in terms of tertiary institutes that will give students or our young the required skills. GTTI, the number of people they can take compared to the number of youth population, the RDI, the number of youth they can take compared so this is why you have this huge deficit. And where we do not have formal institutes that are established to train people in some sectors, you can negotiate with people who are equipped in those areas and send the youth there as apprentices with the notion that after work you will engage them. This is why some people are thinking now in terms of not only creating jobs, but to recruit people, train them, and open up workshops for them, give them the seed money, guide them, and maybe retain a small percentage point.
Can this be done in a national scale?
Yes.
How?
Fine. Let me give you an example. Say the GTTI is an institution ready to train people on technical know-how. You have a team of carpenters that you train. You have a team of masons that you train. You have a team of mechanics, welders, name them. You train them. After training them, if you want to encourage others to come in, what you do is you create a cooperative sort of movement. You organize them as a group and create a company for them. Give them the seed money, give them the tools. And when government is to give out contracts, assess them, give them the contract, have your retention fee, let GTTI send in someone who will be accompanying them. Accompanying them, why? Because you want to ensure that they do not fail.
But Mr. Jallo, I mean, you're saying very good points. But then, I mean, looking at the country, Gambia is a youthful population. Over 60% of the population are young people. And then talking about the issue of GTTI, I mean, do you think this is achievable? Just GTTI, I mean.
Yes, well, this is where, when I started, I told you that there is a huge gap, a huge deficit when it comes to training, when it comes to tertiary institutions. This is why I told you we will take 3 approaches: formal, non-formal, informal. That
I just want to put this in across Mr. Jallo and to Mary as well. When it comes to skills in the Gambia, I think we must have a look at our curriculum fundamentally If you look at our sub-region, say our neighbors, say Senegal, youths are very skillful in terms of what they want to do. You know, one, the curriculum that is in schools have inculcated what I would call skilled lessons. You know, from nursery schools, from primary school to high school or secondary schools. These are things that are there. So you just don't wait till you finish your grade 12. You say, oh, I want to go to GTI. You must have a foundation of a skill training from school, from the junior school to the senior school. And again, career development is important. Career service. You know, when you look around in the Gambia, most of the schools don't have a career person who would advise these youths, who would advise these kids in school, whether it's primary school or it's secondary school or it's senior secondary school, to help them. I think fundamentally we must look at our curriculum. Do you, both of you agree?
Yes,
that we have to look at this?
That is why...
Exactly, yeah. I think we need to look at our curriculum, because if you look at, we only have one technical junior and senior secondary school, which is St. Peter's, my alma mater. So it's, if at all, like all the schools have that system of having a technical level from the grassroots level, like the way is paved for you to step in, like it helps you even discover what you want to become in the future. But if you don't have that grassroots level, you don't have that training like from the start, when you finish your grade 12, you start thinking of what you want to become. It becomes very hard. This is why some of the youth find it very difficult to discover what is within them. But if we have institutions like St. Peter's, like every school, it becomes a technical school, I think most of the students that are technically inclined will discover that from an initial stage and will grow up with that. So when they graduate, they know like directly that this is what I want and this is what I want to become.
But we have a problem when it comes to the issue of skills. I mean, even technical people. Where will you get all these people who will come and take these young people in the country?
Well, that will bring us back to the people that we have trained previously. Because you will not tell me that the entire Gambia, there is no student that have been through technical training or something. Even if it's going to be a few of them, those few, we can start with them to train others, or to create an institution for them to train the ones that will train others in all the schools. So it will be like the teachers union will collaborate with that institution, so that all the teachers will have that knowledge and that training, and that will be included in our subjects.
Well, I will come back to you. At the start of this program, you said the government, when Barrow's government came into being, Barrow promises young people that, you know, he has the River Gambia for them. And you allege the government of giving this river to foreigners, of course, like you said. But then here we have so many other projects, including, you know, the youth empowerment project, of course, government and international partners. Don't you think this thing could have also helped in helping young people to get employed?
Well, I don't know how far that project have gone or it's going, but what I'm sure of that, it was not an allegation that I made, because it's an eyewitness to every Gambian. We have seen the incident of Sanyang. If the Sanyang youth were not angry that what belongs to them was rightfully taken away from them, that wouldn't have resulted to that incident. So it's because what is theirs has not been given to them, is because of what resulted to that.
What evidence? How do you justify this? And what happened inside?
Well, we have seen the Chinese like invading our rivers, and most of the fish that, don't tell me you're not aware that like the fishes that have been thrown outside the river, or the ones that have been Mary, you have the machines are used by the Chinese.
With due respect, you have to accept the fact that these Chinese, you are saying, they didn't invade. They were given licenses to operate.
By who? The government.
By the government.
Exactly. This is why I said our government were the ones that gave them our land and our river that was promised to be given to us. He promised to give us the river, and in turn he gave it to the Chinese. Because I know the Chinese will not come from China out of nowhere and just come and invade the River Gambia without any document or without anything. Let them be transparent with them. Let them speak to us. Let them tell us what is going on. Let them tell us what they are signing with these foreigners. Let us know.
Mary, yeah, just finally before I move to Edie there. You talk about Chinese. A GDC government is not welcoming investors in the Gambia?
We will welcome investors, but not invaders. We will not allow them.
What is the difference between invaders and investors?
Exactly. When they invest, like the entire country benefits from it. But what the Chinese are doing, how are we benefiting from it?
They are actually employing youths in Sanya.
Majority of the youths that have been employed, they are not Gambians. They are all Senegalese.
How do you know?
Well,
probably they don't have skills. We come back to the same thing. Probably they don't have skills.
No, you don't only need skills to know how to take a pan of fish from the river to the dry land.
So you are you saying the Senegalese that are carrying the fish inside?
Well, majority of them are Senegalese.
I've seen our women carrying those buckets.
Exactly, that's why I said it's not only the Senegalese that are doing that.
Yes,
I need to answer this issue.
It's not only the Senegalese, but few Gambians are among them. Majority are Senegalese.
I did ask about the curriculum.
Yes,
that need to be looked at.
Yes.
The current advice that has to be.
Yes.
We must embrace that in our schools.
Yes.
Because if we have to go to school, all to the point of grade 12, for example.
Now the curriculum.
Yes.
Let's go to the curriculum.
Yes.
The curriculum should be designed according to our needs.
Yes.
Then we need to know what the gaps are. This is why it is necessary to have a strategic initiative to create employment for economic development. Employment should link you to economic development. And that link should help you to have economic mobility, so that as you grow old and you start to lose your energy, you would have saved or been part of a scheme that would take care of you at an old age. So it's a whole complete program in which, if we are to roll it out, we will have to consult with the whole country.
Am I getting a textbook explanation?
This is not a textbook explanation.
Okay.
This is something that can be practical.
Okay.
How? This country, you have extension workers all over, and they are our change agents. You have teachers, you have agriculturalists, you have community development assistants, you have forest people.
But these are already here. We have all these people right here as we speak.
Excuse me, allow me to learn.
Okay.
Allow me to learn. You are asking for a curriculum.
Yes.
I am telling you, you cannot prepare a curriculum in a void. You must know what you want to prepare your children for. And if you want to know that, you must consult with them and know what your assets are in your country. And based on knowledge of your assets and what your children want, you develop a curriculum tuned to reflect that. And if you do not have the required resources to ensure that everybody goes through formal education, that is where you innovate. You improvise by co-opting some informal and non-formal forms of training, so that you will speed up the deficit that you are talking about, the technical know-how.
Mr. Jallo, could you just share with us all this that you are saying? Have you at any point tried it anywhere or with anybody to implement it?
Have I? You know, we are not a government. Taxpayers' money is not in our hands.
But you must have some sort of community initiatives here and there.
We have.
Or you're just sitting down waiting to be in government before you start doing anything as a party?
No. As individuals, we all have our areas of expertise. And we must have done certain things to point to the fact that this is possible. For example, me, I am an entrepreneur. And I have worked with many young people. And I know most of the time, the gap that exists is not the fault of the young people. It is because you don't have the right institutions to train them. Some of these skills are their areas of interest. But without the training institute, what they can do
the final question that I put on that.
Yes,
I think we may be going to break.
Yes, well, viewers, you reminded that you're watching State of Affairs here on QTV. I'm your host, Aliou Cissé, with my co-host, Idi Cissé. Our guest tonight, Idi Jallo from the PDOIS and Mary Baji from the GDC. We are talking about the issue of youth unemployment and crimes. And like I said, this program is aired every Friday at this time and also repeated on Sunday at 10 a.m. We will go for a short commercial break. You reminded that you're watching State of Affairs here on QTV. I am Aliou Cisse, and like I said, my co-host is Sidi Cisse, and our guest, Eddie Diallo from the PDOIS, and Mary K. Baye from the GDC. Mary, well, before we go for the commercial break, we are talking about the issue of youth unemployment, and for many, this is likely connected with the increase in crimes we have seen recently. As a political party, what concrete plans do you have in addressing, of course, youth unemployment crimes, which is quite worrying as we speak?
Okay, our party is very much inclined and very interested when it comes to youth affairs, and this is why we are not even waiting to become the government to play our role when it comes to youth unemployment and trying to see how best to help, since our majority of our population is youth. Scholarship have been given to most of those youths, and they're going through their studies. Some of them have already finished.
Who are these
and
youth?
When it comes to
who are these youth?
They're Gambian students who have been given scholarship.
You've been
like,
emphasizing scholarship.
Okay, like
who are these youth?
These youths are Gambians like you and I. And they're in the Gambia,
so, and supporters of your party.
Not only supporters of our party. No, they are all not supporters of our party. Most of, like when it comes to GDC, we don't help.
How long have you been giving this
scholarship? This is from my party.
How long have you been giving this scholarship?
Well, I only have six months, I will say.
In GDC.
In GDC.
So yes, let's imagine you were giving this scholarship.
I was giving it before. I was not even part of GDC when I was given the scholarship, and I did not apply for it or something. So it's something like when they are giving scholarship or when they are helping, they don't look at you as a GDC member. They look at you as a Gambian.
What I'm saying now, you guys have been rolling the scholarship, and that has not brought the crime down in this country as far as youth is concerned.
Well, it's because we are not yet the government. When we become the government, we will
are you telling us if you're in government, you roll a scholarship for all Gambian youth? What concrete measures does GDC have in terms of bringing the crime rate down?
We have projects that we are implementing. Like we are, especially like youths who are helping their mothers in the gardens. They have boreholes being dig for them instead of them becoming fetching water from a particular village to the other to help them. So when you are provided with issues like water and education, like, what else do you need to start up something for yourself?
How many families? How many families or young people have benefited from this scholarship and boreholes? Give us numbers if there is any.
Okay, there is numbers, but right now I cannot give you because I was not prepared for this topic in particular. I was prepared for a different one. But there are statistics that can show the number of students and the number of Gambian youth that have been helped, and not all of them are GDC supporters. Most of them, even their parents are not.
Where can one apply for this scholarship? Where does one apply for this scholarship?
Well, you can reach out to our office. We have our email, and there are so many ways you can reach out. We have our numbers, our email, and the office is there. So you can go to our office with your documents and your certificates or your results, and then.
Mary, allow me to come in. You have to understand, Gambia has over 2 million people, right? and then you're looking at the number of young people, there are quite many.
And this is why we are helping those we can.
Hundreds of thousands of young people. But this is sustainable.
Though we are not yet the government, but we are helping the ones that we can. We are sharing our little that we have with them. Which government has ever, or which opposition has ever done that in the Gambia? Tell me. Which opposition has helped, in different sectors, like before even becoming the government?
Perhaps you
we
only know of your party.
We are sharing the little that we have with them.
Mary, allow me to comment.
Well, it's perhaps, because ours is the one that is well known.
Okay, I think we'll move to Edie. Ali, just yes.
And I think the discussion should be centered around solution finding.
Exactly.
And not.
But we have to know the problems first before we get to the solution.
Finding,
and that's what we are trying to establish now. What is the problem?
And not competing on what one does or one didn't do. Because if we are to blow our trumpets, we've been here for many years. We've had our own schools. We've run these schools. A lot of people went through them. Yeah. And
yes, we can.
That is evident. It's not about that. It's about Gambia is in a precarious situation. How do we get out of the hole? When we are in the hole, we are all in it together.
I hope the hole is not big.
Well, I'm saying when we are in the hole, we are all in it together.
Okay.
What must we do to get out of it? Like you have mentioned here, education is key. Without knowledge, without the right skills, you will not be able to have gainful employment. And even whereas you have gainful employment, what you will be earning may not suffice to help you live a dignified life. So therefore, skills is very important. That is why in the emphasis, it is mentioned that 3 forms of education, 3 approaches must be taken: formal, non-formal, informal. And the crime that you are talking about, it's linked to unemployment, it's linked to poverty, it's linked to deprivation. This is why I've been mentioning over and over again, there is underemployment. Imagine a young person working and earning a salary of $1,500 a month. Should pay his rent from that $1,500, should feed himself from that $1,500. What are you telling that person? Are you encouraging him? Or are you telling him to abandon that job, go and sit at home and wait for food coming from a brother or a sister, cousin, auntie who is elsewhere in the world?
So if I get you right, Edie, you're telling us poverty can lead to theft and crime.
Extreme poverty linked to deprivation.
Okay.
It is not poverty that is not linked to deprivation. When you know you are poor, but you are not poor because of your lack of effort. You are not poor because you cannot get out of it. But because
so this poverty, where would you draw the benchmark? Is it the blue-collar crimes, the petty crimes in the street, or the white-collar crimes? Like, somebody sitting in an office and just have to fiddle with the figures.
No, when I am talking of poverty and the crime rate,
you are referring to the blue crime.
I'm referring to the blue crimes. And people who would vent out
crime.
and people who would vent out their anger.
Okay.
In certain instances, like what has happened to the people at Sanyang, Gunur, Faraba. These were all flashpoints.
Okay, and I will come to Mary there quickly. According to the Minister of Finance, our debt is seriously hampering our development. And you talk about creating scholarship, you talk about building whatever you wish to build, institutions, tertiary institutions. How would you reduce our borrowing for us to have a growth? Because right now we are not having a growth because we are borrowing so much and our debt services are high for both Edie and Mary. Yeah. A GDC government, what would you do to reduce the borrowing?
Okay,
because we are there now.
Well, you have to understand one thing is that the debt have been there before GDC will come. So when we come, we will see how best to
how best, that is when you come into office, how best.
Okay,
we want now concrete measures that GDC program has in terms of reducing the budget in You are a
That
government
is to
as you
create,
call
to
your
create,
your
to
leader,
create
the
job
president.
opportunities for the youth.
No, let me make this very clear. What are the concrete measures that a GDC government would do or would say and practicalize in 100 days in government to reduce the borrowing of this country?
That is to stop using the fund itself, to stop using what is the little that we have there. Let it grow and see how best we can bring more into it. Okay, let's say, for example, that debt have been there before this current government is there. Yes. But we have been hearing of millions being given, pickups being given. How are we managing that borrowed money instead of using it for else things?
What evidence do you have?
Well, you've seen a budget deficit. You see Gambia government from the past 30 years, we have seen deficit in budget. How do you manage our budget that we don't run into deficit?
We will not spend it on things that are not necessary.
Like what?
Like mayor supporters giving them millions and pickups.
But have you ever seen a president going out with a blank check and writing checks to everybody and say, and this from the treasury?
That will not be done because it will be unprofessional.
But are you saying that?
It will be unprofessional to do that.
Okay. So
but
you mean it's happening now?
There are channels to use to do that.
Mary, I
so
think
if we are managing our budget.
Mary, you are just being speculative. Do you have any evidence about these allegations you are making about giving out millions and whatsoever?
Okay, how to call it?
Remember, you are a government in waiting, and whatever you see, whatever you say or do must be.
Okay, when Dr. Sabali cross-carpet from GDC to NPP, it was announced, it was celebrated. He was given 1 million and a pickup. You are not aware of that. You are, of course.
How is that, Mary? If that is the evidence.
Well, yes. There is evidence that he was given a pickup, and so many people around him.
Who gave him a pickup? Who gave him a pickup?
Well, who is the flag bearer for NPP? Who is the party leader of NPP?
Who is that?
Do you tell me like mayor supporters of the NPP were the ones that gave him that?
But can you be specific? Who gave Dr. Sabali $1 million?
I will say Barrow gave him that. Okay. Because when he cross-carpet, he was presented to Barrow and he was told
that's money from our covers?
This is Dr. Sosa from GDC and he cross-carpet.
Are you telling us that money is from our coffers?
Okay, even if it's not from our coffers, we have debts to pay. Okay. Why can't that money be used
what is the problem,
to
Mary?
fill in those gaps?
Mama Kande have been giving money out.
Because he's not owing anybody.
Okay.
And he is not the government yet to pay somebody.
Okay.
But if he was the government, if he was the president, I'm sure he would not give out unnecessary things.
Let me just be clear. If Mama Kande is in government,
allow me to comment. I think
it needs to come to this subject. The debt. It's very important for him to answer the debt. How do you reduce the debts now?
All right. Answer the question. I'll get back to Mary on the issue of the underemployment that you talk about.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
The debt burden is up and rising. It's killing us. So we need to devise a plan. We need to invest in the productive base of the economy, where what we produce, we will try to add value to it, and then market it locally and internationally, as we are part of a bigger world economy. So if we put our act right and invest, for example, you may say we have a lot of arid land in the Gambia. The land is arable. Help farmers with the requisite materials.
You cannot do this without money, Edie. Where are you going to get the money from?
Excuse me.
Okay.
This is why I said invest in the productive base of the economy.
Why is that money coming to invest? The investment, why is it coming?
Now allow me.
Okay.
Recently, we have seen that there is some degree of money that we receive internally through taxation, which is
so
not...
So this investment is going to be public sector, not private sector?
No, I am not I am not saying it will be public sector strictly. I am giving you an alternate plan in order to ensure the farmers who own the land are given the opportunity to till their land and earn something from that land. Because if you risk removing the farmer from the land, you are still coming back to the same problem. You will have people living...
For 55 years, Edie, that's what we've been having.
No.
What are we having? Farmers are not being removed from their land. They are
fif-
farming on their land.
For 56 years,
Yes.
what you've been having is a system in which the farmers are left on their own and their nuts are purchased on cutthroat prices that has hampered their economic development. If you look at the world market price for nuts, compare it from the 70s to now, and the prices that are announced here for nuts, you will see the huge difference, the huge gap. If you look at the support that we should give to farmers in terms of seeds and fertilizer, the loans are commercial loans. They pay back with interest. And in some instances, I'm not referring to even one era of governance here. I'm saying throughout the ages. So, there are instances where farmers corrugate.
Somebody sitting there may say, you know what, you are talking about dependency, the government taking control of everything.
No.
And then the people have to depend on you.
No, you are not listening.
No, I'm listening.
No, you are not listening.
Yeah.
Ask me, how are we going to do this? That should be your question.
I mean, that's the first thing I asked in the first place.
I said we are going to support productive.
You are not telling me in practical. You are not telling me in practical where this money is going to come from. Is it going to come from a private sector or is it going to come from the government? This is what we need to understand.
It will come from the government because the government is the main tax collector in this country.
A government that is in serious debt burden?
Excuse me, we have natural resources. We have other parastatals that are functioning and they have more money and they are investing in other areas. Why wouldn't you encourage them to invest in agriculture, help to boost production?
The public enterprises.
And put food
the public
on
enterprises,
the table of the
the public enterprise, Gamtel, NAWEC, all these public enterprises lately are all doing very bad.
Why? Did you ask yourself why?
Why are you asking me why they're doing bad? You as a political party,
we are
you
just
must
discussing.
know that.
I'm telling you, if they are regulated.
So are you saying they are not regulated as we speak?
They are not properly.
But we have seen, say, for example, Social Security take 400 million and invest in a hotel.
That's what I'm saying. A hotel, how viable is that hotel? You sit for 2 seasons, 3 seasons.
What would a Doi government do? Are you going to follow the same route?
No.
What would you do? What do you do with the public enterprise money? What are you going to do with it?
We are not going to invest in areas that are in speculative business ventures.
But they will tell you, the tourist industry is booming in the Gambia.
Hoteliering is more of a speculative industry.
It seems we're running out of time. I'll come back to Mary. I mean, many will argue the issue of youth unemployment, government is not entirely responsible. Shouldn't be entirely responsible for creating jobs for young people. The private sector has a role to play. Do you agree?
Well, I think it's a collaborative something. Like, we need to come on board. We don't have to rely on only Plan B. Recently, the government have given donkeys and horses to farmers. If those donkeys were instead tractors and other equipments that can make the farming faster and easier, or we have a system wherein irrigation will be in the Gambia in a form of, like, we will not have seasonal agriculture products. It has to be a continuous thing. So if we depend, let's say, 5% on agriculture, 5% on private sectors, and another percentage on government from our tax money, I think it will make it work.
Don't you think that's going to be a big investment?
It might not be a big investment because it's going to be collaborative. For example, when the farmers have an irrigation system wherein we have products like throughout the day, like not a season per season, and mangoes have been processed into different products that can be sold in and outside the Gambia, and oranges the same way, and other food products the same way. If we are importing less and exporting more, I think that would reduce our debt rate because we will be having more income than we are spending.
What impact will it cause as far as youth unemployment is concerned?
It will reduce the rate of youth unemployment, because so many youths will be employed in different sectors. It could be up to, I will not say specifically 50%, but at least 45% can be, because
I didn't say fantasy, because you're not dealing with figures.
No, let's say for example,
so basically what you are telling us,
let's say for example, let me bring you back to the technical aspect you were talking about. If we have technicians,
you just look at the camera and just say to me 45%.
No, that's not what I mean.
Let's go back to the subject.
Okay, let me just finish this line. If I bring you back to the technical aspect that you were talking about, we have our youths who are technically inclined when it comes to operating these tractors and operating these machines and all that.
So are you calling for industrialized farming? Are you calling for industrialized farming?
Not 100% industrialized farming, not 100%.
Why not? That's why you will grow.
Because you said it might not be possible to, because he said it could be expensive. So we can minimize with what we have and start with that.
Okay, thank you so much.
We can start with what we have.
Okay, Idi, can you come in here?
Well,
the issue of not only government should provide
yes,
for young people. The private sector
investment in a country should not be restricted to one sector. The government does what it can, and other private sector players who may want to invest will also do what they can, provided that you put in the right contracts in place so that the people will also not end up being impoverished for life. That we must consider when giving away contracts. For example, I will give you a practical example. The Sanyang fish mill was on fire. In my imagination, if the first Sanyang fish mill at the time it was conceived, the Village Development Committee of Sanyang was consulted. The area council of Brikama came and they were all consulted. And they were told that this fish mill, excuse me.
Yes. Go ahead. You have to understand,
yes, I know you are constrained by time, but
it's about time. That's why I'm just trying to make.
If I am unable to finish what I am saying, the audience will not understand where I am.
I understand your point, but I'm just trying to tell you we're running out of time, and you have to summarize.
Summarize it.
You can go ahead.
Wasting my time. Now, what I have said is, if they have been consulted, and this fish mill comes after consultation, and for example, they know this quota of workers will be taken from Sanyang 1. For what purpose? Not only for employment, but for skills acquisition. And not only for skills acquisition, the village itself would have a fund, would have a percentage, because it is on their land and they are contributing to environmental degradation. So at least, let's say...
I think we understood that. Mary, you talk about crime, we talk about youth employment. These are issues that we will sit here and talk about it. But let's go to law enforcement. You cannot deal with crime without not having the law enforcement in the right place. How would a GDC government capacitated the law enforcement in this country to deal with crime?
Keep it, summarize it, because we're running out of time.
Our government will make it strict to everyone to realize that when you abuse the law or you do something that is against the law, you will face the consequences, and not to consider the fact that maybe you are ahead of this or you are part of my party, so I will tolerate, or like we will make sure everyone is dealt with according to the law. Because I was having a radio, so let me just finish, a radio show last week, and one caller said that you were talking about drug abuse and all that. Those bringing the drugs themselves are even part of the government, are even part of the law enforcers. So how do you expect us to obey them when they are doing?
Those are all speculative. There's no evidence.
Yes. We will engage in community policing. We will engage the common person, the public, those most vulnerable. Teach them about the law. Teach them about the implications. And build counseling centers where we will counsel people, orient them. And in doing so, we believe you will stem the crime rate. Because once people are aware, they tend to take care of themselves and wouldn't want to get involved in things that would delay them. Because the main objective of these petty criminals is just to earn something for the day. They may end up being parked somewhere for 5 years. The person loses, the community loses, the state loses. So it becomes a lose-lose situation.
No win-win situation, but lose-lose situation.
Thank you so much, Eddie. Well, viewers, with that, we come to the end of this State of Affairs program here on QTV. I was your host, Aliu Sise, with my co-host, Sidi Sise. And our guests tonight were Eddie Jallo from the PDOIS and Mary K. Baji from JDC. Thank you so much for watching. And then you can watch this program. It will be repeated on Sunday at 10 a.m. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.
Thank you.